So this week our discussion is going to continue during our season of Advent, this season as we prepare for Christ's birth. We continue with Christ's own advocate to speak about John the Baptist. Now, as I brought up to attention last week, John was a straight shooter. He wasn't one to sugarcoat anything. The Baptist saw people for what they really were and would call them out if he felt necessary, criticizing them if not sincere in their seeking of redemption. Now, he also had a good grasp of the human condition. And he understood that to be faithful, you had to be so in the capacity in which you were in this living, being alive in this world, what you had to do. Now, today's gospel brought to our attention, really focused, tax collectors and soldiers as examples. Now, both at that time, as far as the Jewish community was looked down upon, even if you were of the Jewish community yourself, if you were a tax collector, you were chastised. And the reason was, it was well known, that the powers that be at the time, Rome, did not look down on the tax collectors if they wanted to add a little bit to what you had to pay, as long as Rome got their fair share. So we know that there was this padding of the tax that most of these guys exploited the people by, who were tax collectors. And the other one, this was for self-profit. Like I said, Rome had didn't worry about this at all as long as they got their share. The other thing was with the soldiers. Because in part, yes, they received the wage, but also there was this what they call spoils of war. If you were out there as a soldier and you see something you wanted, you took it, you exploited it. That was just a part of the way things were. That was your privilege. And that was for your own benefit. And those who had authority, really, like I said, the government that be, which was Rome at the time, encouraged them so as to show their power over the people. But John didn't just call out these two, though. He was really calling out to all folks, questioning anyone who if they had access, if they had privilege, if they were not generous in faith, and also to the needy. Which calls us into the practice many folks even have today. There's that one saying that's out there, that you've probably all heard it. There wouldn't be poverty if it wasn't there wouldn't be extreme poverty if it wouldn't be for the extreme rich. Because they're not doing their fair share with what they've been given as stewards. Part of what we know as being Christians is we're people of God, we're to be stewards. We've been given blessings, which means we will have good lives, but also in that wealth of talent or prestige, whatever that's been given us, or talents. Also, part of that being with stewards is to give back to our communities, to make it solid, to make it whole, to make it stable. So to be faithful and truly believing Christians, we're actually doing what we should be doing, what should be done. We know that our gifts and talents aren't just to be for our own pleasure and comfort. Now, there's a second part to the scriptures today. The second part, the gospel brings up this fact that some people question, maybe, because the prophecy had been out there for generations on the Messiah of God. And John had such fervor around him, and he was so devout in his nature. There was that rumor that perhaps he was the Messiah. Perhaps he was the one. Because they've seen in John the fact of his absolute honesty and sincerity. And so precisely was John in his belief and practice that yes, it did personify all those traits that they associated with this leader that was prophesied from old, this Messiah that was of God, to liberate Israel from their foreign captivity and to reestablish them as a true and free sovereign people. in his righteousness and devotion, folks saw that prophetic Messiah that they had anticipated. Or at least, as some of the scriptures point, they thought that he perhaps was Elijah, because Elijah was such a great prophet from of old, that perhaps he'd come back to aid the people and reincarnate in this man we now call John the Baptist. Now we know John was very adamant about dismissing this suggestion. He knew his place. He knew his power. He knew what he was called to do. But he wanted no focus on himself at all. To dissuade from the folks understanding and recognizing why he had come. To proclaim the coming of Christ, the true Messiah. Recognizing Jesus as the Christ, as was so quick to be seen here very soon. John wanted to be kept as his persona of low stature in comparison to Jesus. As he put it in his own way, he who is mightier than I, whose thong on his sandal I'm not even worthy to untie. That's how low he felt himself, not even able to tie Jesus' shoe. That's what John felt he was in comparison to Christ. Now, in his humility and devotion, John the Baptist, with great enthusiasm, gave Jesus all the praise. All the praise our Lord truly deserves. Maybe we're not that strong in our faith, but it comes back to us and how we are to carry ourselves. So even with Jesus and his birth and ministry, we see this continued message of divine power and blessing, but it's personified by humility and sincere devotion to God and his purpose in our gifts that he's bestowed upon us all. So in our blessings, we are given abundance. Each of us are unique. Each of us are given great gifts. If we use them as the Lord proclaims us to do, we can do great things. But it's not just for us. So this is just for our comfort and for our own joy. Our blessings that we are given in abundance are more than that. These are gifts that are to be shared for the betterment and the sovereignty for all people to be assured. Because it is in God's divine plan. There is to be peace. There is to be harmony. There is to be stability. But as John points out to us, we must realize not to exploit this, our share, only on us and in our own access. For in doing so, we are not returning to the Lord his share of our blessings. And in doing so, we deprive not the Lord, but the world and the true joy that we can all feel and experience in this life, if in devotion to faith and in devotion to God in Christ Jesus. Let that can pray. Amen.